Today I thought that I would share with you my January wrap up. Now I read some fantastic books in the month of January, and reading wise it was the best month that I have ever had. I read 9 books this month, a lot of 5-star books, so I'm going to jump straight into it because this is probably going to be a long video. The first book I read was, if I can just get it, The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I listened to this book also, which was read by the author, which I believe added to my enjoyment of it. It follows a young boy called Bod Owens whose family get murdered, and basically he gets raised in a graveyard by a bunch of ghosts. It follows his adventures inside and outside the graveyard. It follows the fact that the man who killed his family, Jack, is looking for Bod, and it was dark, it was beautiful, it made me cry. It was such a good book and I would highly recommend it, and I am now looking for the graphic novel version of this book because I loved it. Next book that I read was hands down a 5-star book for me, and that was The Christmasaurus by Tom Fletcher. Yes, this is a children's book. Yes, I absolutely adored this book. It's basically about a dinosaur and it's about Christmas. This book just filled my heart with so much joy and came at a time when I needed that. I would highly recommend this book for parents to basically buy the children, to read to the children, because I can't wait to read this book again because it was just so cute. And Tom Fletcher, if you didn't know, used to be in McFly, a British boy band, and he's amazing. This book, so good. Next book I read was my most disappointing book of January, but I didn't mind because I read some other fantastic books, and that was Rat Burger by David Walliams. This obviously is a children's book and I just really couldn't get on board with it. I gave it 2 stars. It's about a young girl called Zoe who has a rat, and basically this man here wants to turn him into a rat burger along with loads of other rats. So yeah, really disappointing. Read Orphalanti last year, absolutely loved that, even though it was a children's book. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, but this, I wouldn't bother. Next book I read, well, it wasn't actually the next book, it's the next book on the pile. I think I read this last, is The Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. This is a book about Kate, who's a human, and August, who is a monster, and they are on opposite sides, and it is about what happens to them when they meet, and something really bad happens, and basically they get thrown together and they have to survive, and they find things out about the family. And I love the fact that there was no romance in this book. No romance at all. It's all about friendship. I'm hoping V.E. Schwab in the next book, I think it's something about this, or Dark Duet, doesn't go down the lines of a romance. But this book I gave 4 out of 5 stars too. Really good read. But when it comes to V.E. Schwab, this was definitely not my favourite. My favourite book of hers, which I actually read in a day, and I do have a video on it, was Vicious. Vicious was... I have such love for this book. This book basically will definitely be in my top 10, top 5, whatever I do, 2017. I could not put this book down, and when I did, I had to get back to it. Follows 2 main characters, Victor and Eli, who are roommates at college, and 10 years later they are now sworn enemies trying to kill each other. It's a book about good and evil and how we see good and evil, how we perceive it. At the beginning of the book you perceive it so differently to you do at the end. I'm not going to go any more into it because I've got a book review on it, but definitely one of my top reads for this year. So good. The next book that I've read, and that was all the books falling on the floor, yes, but anyway, let's carry on, was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This follows two male characters called Aristotle and Dante, who basically meet and become best friends. Now, this book, I know people absolutely love this book. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, and the reason why I gave it 4 stars is because I absolutely hated Aristotle, however you say his name. I'll call him Ari because that's what he's called in the book. I could not stand him as a character. I found him tedious. I found him basically just have nothing about him. I thought he was horrible when it comes to Dante. Dante I absolutely loved. This book is an LGBT book, so it features a gay character. I think this book came at a time in my life when I'm very sceptical when it comes to certain things relating to relationships and love. And even though the end was really, really cute, and I can see why people loved it, I just really didn't get on board with it, which is why it only scored 4 stars to me. I don't actually think I'll ever read this book again, but maybe I will at a better time in my life, but at the moment it's a 4-star book. Next we have a book that I actually started last year, and I was about 3/4 of the way through. So January I decided I was going to finish it, and that was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas, the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. I love this book. This book is fantastic. Rhys, oh my god, I was a Tamlin girl when I finished the first book, Court of Thorns and Roses. I really didn't expect when I started reading this book that I would be so much for Rhys or Rhysand, was it? Rhysand, however you say it. But Sarah J Maas just basically takes you, leaves you feeling one thing at the beginning of the book, and by the end of it you've completely changed your mind. Such a fantastic fantasy book. Characters are brilliant. The world is absolutely amazing. She's such a good author. So good. I can't wait for the third one. Court of Wings and Runes come out in May. I will be all over that. Next book that I read is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I gave this book 4 stars, and the only reason why I gave it 4 stars was basically it's a book about love, which at the moment I really don't think I should be reading because, like I said, I'm quite sceptical when it comes to that. But this book was really, really cute. It follows a young girl called Natasha, who's basically a illegal immigrant and is about to be deported to Jamaica that evening, and she meets a young boy called Daniel. And it's basically about fate and them sort of starting to fall in love. Each chapter follows their different points of views, and it also follows some other characters as well. So now and again you'll have another character's point of view just thrown in, which really adds to the story. I really did like the ending, but I think maybe some point I might reread this book and I may think it's cuter, because I really did love the book. Everything, I thought that was adorable. But this one was a 4-star read for me. Now on to the last book that I read this month in January, and this book absolutely broke me, and it is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I listened to this book as well as reading it. It was read by Jason Isaacs, who, if you didn't know, plays Lucius Malfoy in Harry Potter. And oh my god, he did such a good job. This book basically follows a young boy called Connor, whose mother has a terminal illness, and he gets visited by a monster who basically tells him that he will keep on visiting him and tell him 3 stories, and then once they're done he will then ask Connor to tell him his truth, the thing that he has been basically hiding, the thing that he has been scared to tell people. This book just absolutely broke me. I cried my eyes out reading this book, like I am sure a lot of people who have read it have done. it was beautiful. The illustration, I had to have this version because this is the illustrated version, and just everything about it, even just thinking about it now, just gets me. It really, really did strike a chord, and it brings up so many memories in you when it comes to dealing with like loss. And this book I'm definitely want to read again at some point. And I don't really usually say that. I don't really reread books, but I'm definitely going to reread this book. So that was my January wrap up, guys. I know it's a bit of a long video. I know when it comes to describing books I'm not the best, but believe me, if you haven't read these books except Rothberger, basically go out and buy them. So that was all, guys. I hope you're doing well as usual. I shall love you and leave you, and I shall see you all soon. Bye.